Welcome back to Adobe Illustrator CC 2021 Classroom Book Chapter 9. This is Part 5, Adding Type to a Project. When we left off, we had just barely created these paragraph styles for our body and our heading. Now we're going to go ahead and change those elements. So let's go ahead and click with our Type tool in our ingredients. And with our styles, let's go ahead and click to the right. And we should get the pop-up that shows us the different elements we can play with. So let's go ahead and change some of those requirements. So let's go under General. You can see what we've got. We've got our basic character formats. We want our font family. Let's change it to Oswald. All right, let's do it this way. The problem of doing this too long, you get way too many choices of fonts. All right, Oswald is coming. Here we go, Oswald. All right, and we want style to be regular. We want the point size to be 12. We want it to be all caps. So case should be all caps. And our tracking is a spacing between the letters. We want to go ahead and make that 25. And we're going to go ahead and hit OK. And now, because we had the style applied, it changed those automatically in the other places, which is really cool. So sometimes we don't want to have a paragraph style. We want to have what's called a character style. So let's go ahead and switch to our artboard number 1. And let's go ingredients and let's apply that heading over there. And our directions, let's apply that heading over there as well. So that's nice. Now let's go ahead and do our selection tool and grab that serves 6 to 8 and create a character style. So we might want to zoom in a couple times. And let's double click on the text and just do something with the serves element. So we've got the serves part. So let's go to our properties panel. Let's go to regular from the font style. Instead of light, let's change it to regular. And let's go ahead and change the color so that it is strawberry instead of black. So kind of that reddish color. And now let's go ahead and switch to our character styles group, which we still have open. And let's go ahead and create a new character style. So we're either going to option click or alt click to the new style button. So I'm going to alt click that new style button. It's going to go ahead and pop open that box that says, what do you want this to be? So let's go ahead and call this to bold text. And let's see, we want to have the preview on. We want, okay, so general's there. We want to make sure it doesn't add to our library. Just trying to make sure it doesn't do that. All right, and say OK. So now we've got one called bold text. So let's go ahead and pop over to time and change that to bold text as well. And it's automatically going to have all those features we just created for the other, which works really nicely. So what if we want to go ahead and edit that character style? Let's make sure we go ahead and select, deselect, and do a Control S to save. So we can go ahead and double click to the right of that bold text style name. And it's going to go ahead and let us go in and change the features of that style. So maybe we don't want strawberry. Maybe we want to make it black instead. So let's go ahead and come down to our general. We can go to our basic character formats. And let's go ahead and change our color, or character color. There we go. Character color. Let's go ahead and change it to black. So it says R0, G0, B0. And say OK. And so now we automatically have that selected. We didn't actually have this selected as bold text, so now we do. All right, so now we've got those two elements, and I don't like the way those two are lining up, so I'm gonna go ahead and click serves. I'm gonna hit time, and I'm gonna grab my line. Let's do a line bottom so they're both lined up nicely. All right, let's do a Control S and save. So now we're going to go ahead and wrap some text. So I can go ahead and close that panel group. Don't need that right now. Let's go ahead and pop over to artboard number 2. And we're going to go ahead and wrap the text around this kind of logo we've got going on here. So let's go ahead now and grab our selection tool, grab that omega 3. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit so we can see what's going on. Let's go to Object, and let's do Text Wrap down toward the bottom, and Make. And it's going to say, okay, what do we want to do? So to wrap text around an object, we have to have it selected. It has to be on the same layer. And let's go ahead and go to our badge. With our badge selected, let's go to our Range button in our Properties panel. And we want to go ahead and say Bring to Front. And so now it's going to be in the right layer order. And it's on top. So now let's go ahead and change it a little bit. Let's go to Object. Let's come down here to Text Wrap. And let's go ahead and do Text Wrap Options. And let's go ahead and change the offset to 20. Make sure your preview is on so you can see what's happening. Hit Tab. So you can see it made it a little bit bigger. And let's say OK. And let's go ahead and drag that feature over toward the end of that little dotted line. So you see before it was kind of breaking up that dotted line. Right now we want to make it so it does not break up that dotted line. All right, so let's go ahead and select an empty area, deselect, Control S, and save. So now we're going to go ahead and play with the top part of our grilled at the top. So let's go ahead and use some warping text. So let's go ahead and do Control minus, zoom out a few times, come in here to our grilled. And let's go ahead with our selection tool, click grilled. And let's make a copy of it. So we can either do Option or Alt, and we want to drag it down just below. I'm going to do a Control minus, and let's center that first. So we kind of center that in the middle. Okay. And I'm going to do Alt and drag and make a separate one. So now I've got grilled, and we're going to change it to say Rainbow Trouts. So let's change our font family. Let's see, double click. And let's change, say I want us to double click this. We've got it selected. Let's go ahead and change it to Oswald Light. So there's my Oswald. Here is my light's not in here. So I'll put OSW, Oswald Light. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and make it 84 points. And tab. And let's go ahead and change those words to Rainbow Trouts. Come on. All right. And we're going to escape. Now we want to go ahead and do choose. We want to go to Object. We're going to distort the Rainbow Trouts a little bit. We want to come down to Envelope Distort, just down toward the bottom. And we're going to go ahead and make with Warp. I was going to go ahead and change and make that arc. We want to go ahead and choose Arc Upper. All right. And we want to choose the, you can see how you can play with the bend, the horizontal, vertical. You can play with the different types of bends. So let's go ahead and move the distortion sliders to 0. So 0. And the bend should be -15. So vertical should be 0 as well. And bend should be -15 and tab. So it's going to go ahead and make it kind of squished for us a little bit. Now with it still selected, let's go to the Edit Contents button at the bottom of the Properties panel. So let's say OK. And we want to go ahead and do the I'm not sure why edit contents is not one of my options. Oh, here it is. It's this little one with the star. So you could go in and instead of trouts, let's go ahead and make that trout. So let's grab our text tool and take out that extra S and see it's going to resize and create that bend for us. And let's go ahead and do a Control S and save. Now with our selection tool, let's make sure that our envelope is still selected. Let's grab the kind of the grid looking one. All right. And now let's go ahead and go to the warp options button on the properties panel. So let's go here to warp options. And it's going to say, what do you want it to do? I want to go ahead and change that bend to a -12 instead of -15 and hit OK. All right. And we want to go ahead and change it to be arc lower. So it's going to bend the other way. So let's go back in. Come on. Nope, warp options, sorry. And instead of arc upper, do arc lower and say OK. So with our selection tool, we're going to go ahead and grab grilled and rainbow trout. Kind of line those up in the middle. So kind of rainbow trout. Okay. What we could do is do a view and do a ruler. We'll turn our rulers on. Let's show our rulers. You could drag a guide over. So we know this is 8.5, so 4.25. Make it a little easier. Oh, come on. All right, not more why my guides aren't showing. View. Show guides. Show guides. There we go. Oh, I have all kinds. Extra. Didn't necessarily want all those. All right, so I'm going to grab my selection tool, grab my grilled, and I can make sure I've got that aligned. Kind of in the middle of that 4.25. Grab the same thing here. Got way too many. Let's go ahead and take some of these out. All right, now it makes it easier. All right, so you can kind of use those guides. There we go. That looks better. And grab rainbow trout. Squish them over just a little bit. All right, looking much better. Control S and save. So we've got one more part left, which is working on type and a path, and I will pick that up in the last part.